to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
Good morning, San Diego marketers. You're listening to another episode of This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the American Marketing Association San Diego chapter, and of course, powered by WS Radio. A couple announcements to get through today. First of all, I want to thank everyone for attending Marketing Technology last week. We had a really good turnout, and I think the event went really well. A lot of good tidbits in that one. And next announcement is regarding our April 9th Marketing by the Beach mixer. I'm sorry. So nothing is definite right now, but I'm about 99.9% sure that this event is going to be postponed due to the COVID-19 outbreak. The board and I have been talking. We're thinking about shifting some of our future events into webinars, but there'll be more information on that to come. Just a reminder for everyone to stay safe during this time. I know panic is starting to ensue, but we will get through it as we always do. Okay, so diving into the episode today, I welcome in CJ Thomas of Wonders Tree Media, and we're talking all about video and how you can hop on the bandwagon in 2020. CJ, how you doing today? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Doing good, my friend. Hanging in there. So I'm a commercial producer and director. We do a lot of like branded video content. So most of that goes through my production company, Wonder Tree Media.
Awesome.
We kind of work under the umbrella of life-changing brands is kind of our focus. So technology companies, healthcare, education, government, those kind of more industries that lend towards really neat stories.
Very cool. And so how have you been affected with this whole global pandemic in the past week or so?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy just to see what's going on. Not too much going on the business front. We've had a few small cancellations. We don't do a ton of events, but we do some here and there, and so we've had those kind of postponed. Other than that, not too much yet, but I was just actually emailing a client who is based out of South Korea, which obviously has a pretty high number of cases, but he's like, yeah, man, business as usual. So it's not too bad yet, but we'll see. I'm kind of on the wait and see track.
Yeah, it kind of seems like this is turning into a snowball effect.
Yeah.
It seems like everything you read online, it seems like the world's coming to an end.
It's wild.
Yeah,
man.
Going into the grocery store, the shelves are pretty bare. I think it's just a panic across the country, or across the world, really.
Crazy times, man. Like, yeah, walking into grocery stores it's like you're in a movie right now.
Yeah.
So.
Did you stock up on toilet paper beforehand?
You know what? I haven't. So I'm fingers crossed that I'm not going to be, jokes on me, that I'm not the one rushing out to buy them all up. But I don't know. I think I'm kind of in the boat of let's all be a little considerate here. No need to stock the basement for 6 months when everyone needs something.
Yeah. No, there's a guy around downtown Encinitas. He's been around for a couple of days just holding up a big cardboard sign that says share your toilet paper.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. But to give you too much information, I actually purchased a bidet a couple of weeks ago and a couple of days ago, and I'm very excited about it.
I've been saying the smart ones are the ones who have a bidet right now. Like they're like, laughing in comfort. So,
what was the Dave Chappelle meme? Modern problems require modern solutions.
If there's anything positive to come out of this, it's the memes. I mean, they're great.
100%.
Hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, so to dive right into our topic today, we're talking all about video and video content in 2020.
Yeah.
And CJ, I want to start. What are a couple of your favorite brand videos or video campaigns?
Yeah, so I have a couple, just kind of depending on the flavor. In terms of, from a strategic level, where I think, they do really well, just as a whole, I think Lego actually does a great job. So if you look at, I would say the Lego movie franchise is a great brand campaign. You wouldn't think of it as that because it's movies, but I think, nowadays the best brand campaigns don't feel like ad campaigns. And so, they do a really good job of turning their product into amazing stories that, cut to the core of their target audience and
Right.
don't feel like advertisements. So I think that's a great example.
That is a fantastic example.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
And then just, a video that I've been in love with lately, just a small video campaign. It's for a company called Take Note. They're like a paper, I think they do like Post-it note type things. But the video is called, I think it's called Notes, a love story, a life story. And it's a very simple video. I would just encourage anyone to check it out. But it really, I'm a huge fan of like, how can we add a human element, a human level to simple products or technologies? And I think this video does a phenomenal job of that and might make you shed a tear or two.
Interesting. Yeah. What was the name of that again? I'll put it in the write-up here.
Yeah, it's called Note, a love story, a life story. I'm pretty sure that's it. If you just look that up, that'll take you right to it.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I think that's really the role of video, just to humanize brands. And I feel like video and marketing in general just has the power to take a super boring product, super boring service, and just make it interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that segues right into my next question. In your own words, what would you say the role of video content is in the marketing mix today?
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge part of it, is just being able to add that human element. We don't see that a lot. We do see it a lot, but I don't think enough in video. My philosophy, and I think you'll probably hear this from me like 30 times over the course of this conversation, is, video in itself, I don't view it as a strategy. Video is just a medium. So video, of course, plays a role in marketing, but it all starts with what are we trying to say? And if that isn't something interesting, it doesn't matter if it's in a video or a blog or whatever that is. So video is extremely powerful. It gives you the ability to show, not tell, and really add in all these elements of sound design and really connecting. But at the core of it, you can talk about the technology of your product in a way that no one cares. And then it doesn't matter if it's in a video or, what format it's in. So.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, it's cool to see kind of over the past few years how video content has just really infiltrated every part of the digital world. Like, you look at your social media timeline, it's mostly all video these days. And I know Mark Zuckerberg, I want to say it was 2015, 2016, he laid out the prophecy saying he believes in the next decade most online content will be video. And I think in a lot of ways that's really coming true.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you even see it beyond just marketing and social. It's down to just how we interact. I mean, I was with my girlfriend the other day, and her dad, who's like in his 60s, really cool guy. But he sent her, like, now on the iPhones, you have the touch messages where you can basically send a video and it doesn't save and it disappears. And it's just like, we're communicating now through video as well. So it's definitely, it is. There's no question that video's next or it's upcoming. Video is all
here.
around us.
Yeah.
It's here.
Yep. So, how long have you been in video for? How long now?
About 5 years.
About 5 years.
I've been doing Wonder Tree for about 4, and then before that, it was about 1.5 years or so. And then I kind of got into this through photography, so that's what I was doing before video.
Great. Yeah, so I think in the past 5 years, just video content, like we were just talking about, it's just infiltrated everything.
Yeah.
How would you say that how has this mass market shift to video been like for you in the industry?
Yeah, luckily I kind of got into it while it was already still booming. So I'm definitely not one of the old timers who's seen all the waves. But I would say the biggest thing I've seen is, obviously there are a few key videos that I think a lot of brands have paid attention to and kind of wanted to replicate. So if you think about like the Dollar Shave Club, I think is the classic example where it's like that humorous host. And I think those types of videos do a really good job of, blending both, brand awareness, but also direct sales, direct conversion marketing. But I think those types of videos have gotten a lot of brands to want to look at video. Now, where I kind of come in with the brand and say like, all right, well, is that going to be, your best option? Does that fit your brand? But it has, those types of videos have at least opened brands to the possibility of what online video can do. Because in the past, you would think of video and think, 30-second TV spots. And now, we never produce 30-second TV spots here and there, but for the most part, it's for web. And that's because there's so much more potential there. And, I don't have to convince anyone of the power of digital, but I think that those types of videos have really brought in a focus to online video and what it can do for brands and businesses.
Awesome. Well, that's great to hear you say that about Dollar Shave Club. I've written a lot of articles on video content, and I've cited them hundreds of times. So
Oh yeah.
that's good to hear. Maybe I'm making a difference.
Yeah.
So do you think video plays a bigger role in certain industries more than others?
I mean, it's really hard to say because again, video is just the medium, so it depends on the industry, and it looks so different for every industry. So video is obviously it's a tool that can be used in many different ways. Whether it's product instructional videos on how to assemble something, that's going to be totally different than a marketing campaign. So where we like to focus, and I think industries that can stand to benefit from it, are those more complex technology companies. San Diego, obviously, being huge for life science. I think there are some, but I think there's a huge gap for life science companies to kind of step up and tell more stories about what they're doing rather than just kind of putting out their technology, brochures, essentially. I think there's a real opportunity for life science and biotech and med devices to
public health.
Because there's amazing stories there. The companies that we have worked with in that space, like the stories are incredible and they're really powerful for moving their business and their technology forward. So I think that's an industry that can really stand to gain from it.
Awesome. Well, that should do it for segment 1. We'll be back in a couple minutes here. You're listening to This Week in Marketing by the American Marketing Association San Diego chapter and powered by WS Radio.
A podcast or radio show on WS Radio is a great way to create content marketing. Turn prospects into customers into raving fans. Contact Wade at WSRadio.com or call 866-WS-RADIO.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, CEO and founder of VinVillage.com and the Wine and Dine show on VinVillage Radio. Do you have a wine, event, product, or service to promote? Then contact VinVillage.com to reach thousands of wine lovers across the country. VinVillage connects like-minded wine enthusiasts with unique and exclusive wines, events, products, and services. To learn more, contact us on VinVillage.com. VinVillage is where wine lovers connect.
I raised $8,000 to build schools for South African children.
After realizing how many people go hungry in San Diego, I now volunteer at a food pantry.
I'm spending the next year doing volunteer projects across 3 countries and helping in ways they designate to be the most helpful.
The World Link program at the Joan B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice recognizes the potential of youth as agents of social change. Learn how you can help youth become a generation of leaders in action at peace.sandiego.edu.
One person has the power to change the world, impact millions of lives, and leave a legacy for lifetimes to come. That person is you. In the New York Times bestseller, What is Your What? Steve Olsher, award-winning author and founder of the Reinvention Workshop, reveals his proven process that has helped thousands of men and women discover, share, and monetize the one thing they were born to do. Grab your free copy now at www.whatisyourwhat.com/free. That's www.whatisyourwhat.com/free.
Take a break from politics. Tune in and learn something. WS Radio shows are worth your time and are filled with tips and advice. Add us to your lunch routine and we'll give you a meal for your mind.
Can you help a newborn baby in need? Sometimes the blessing of birth becomes complicated and perilous. Miracle Babies is there to help. Miracle Babies helps moms and dads give their all to their struggling little baby, but still need more. When you give to Miracle Babies, you help them give more. More skin-to-skin care, breast milk, and love. Go to miraclebabies.org and give right now. Be their miracle.
Small businesses are the lifeblood of America's economy. Every Thursday, SBA Radio interviews industry professionals and is dedicated to provide small businesses with timely insights and innovations. Visit www.sbaradio.us for details.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
Welcome back, San Diego marketers. You're listening to another episode of This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the American Marketing Association San Diego chapter and powered by WS Radio. In the studio today, I've got CJ Thomas of Wonder Tree Media, and we're talking all about video and how you can form your strategy in 2020 and beyond. Now, CJ, just to dive right into segment 2 here, I think we established pretty well, and it's common knowledge at this point that video is a huge deal, and it's just everywhere around us. And a lot of brands are taking this into account. Everyone knows, okay, we need to create video, we need to get on this bandwagon. But I feel like very few know how to truly master video creation for brand videos. I'm curious, from an agency standpoint, what would you say are the biggest misconceptions a lot of brands have when approaching video?
Yeah, I want to answer that question first. I just want to say, I don't know if you've heard this before, but that intro tune reminds me so much of Danger Zone that like I'm rocking out over here as this is coming back in.
I've never put that together, but that is a great point.
But
wow. I'm going to think about it every time we do a video from now on. Or a
that's
podcast.
my ADD kicking in. Biggest misconceptions, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, again, I kind of alluded to it in the first segment, but I think one of the biggest things is understanding that video in itself is not a strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Video is it's a medium. So it really starts with, just as you would approach any campaign or any, smart business strategy is, starting with the objective. Who are we speaking to? What's that core message? What do we really need to say, and why should the audience care about it? And I think thinking about those things before you even think about what the video looks like or feels like, or the fact that it's a video, I think really sets you up in a much better position. And then on a more tactical, smaller note, I think one of the biggest misconceptions in video that drives me bonkers, and you read this on every single blog and everything talking about video marketing, is that, it has to be short, or, social Facebook videos should be no longer than a minute, and all this. And I don't buy that. I think, obviously there are certain constraints, and yeah, social maybe shorter is better. People are scrolling through so fast, but the way we look at it is, how it comes down to telling a compelling story that holds the attention. If you can do that, you can get away with more time. The thesis that, video has to be short, I think comes from, well, if your video sucks, yeah, if it's short, you're going to have a longer watch time, a longer retention on the video,
right.
But that's because it's short. So it's all, I'd say focus more effort into telling a story worth watching, and you don't have to worry as much about, we got to keep it under a minute.
Mm-hmm. So I know on social media, like we said earlier, you kind of browse through it and it's all video. And I feel like it's no secret attention spans are getting shorter and shorter by the day. Do you see, is the key really to hook people in the first couple seconds of a video? Or where do you see, obviously you want to get those long watch times. Is there any like X factor or thing to consider? You got to come out guns blazing out of the gate. What's kind of your experience with that?
Yeah, I think there are a few elements at play here, and I think this is where it really benefits whoever's producing video to understand story and why story works, and study what makes you get hooked into even like a movie that you go see at the theaters. And I'll kind of touch on that. But yeah, in terms of hooking, like especially when you're talking about marketing videos and ads, yeah, that's still a thing. Hooking them in the first few seconds is key. And so that's why, we always recommend don't start by showing your logo. In most cases, that's not going to be the best strategy. Start right out the gate with a reason somebody should want to watch. But again, it depends on the platform. If somebody's on YouTube, they already have that intent, so they might be a little bit more vested versus, again, if you're scrolling through a Facebook feed, you want that first frame of the video to just scream for attention. And in a unique way. We got to stop with this whole pointing and saying, stop, but I would say on a bigger level, when you look at story and what makes storytelling so compelling, It's really conflict. Embrace conflict, and that's something we talk about a lot, and we work with our clients on. And conflict doesn't always have to be negative, but it's what's the question that's being asked in this video, or what's the challenge that maybe our main character, whether it's the company, the client, a customer is up against. That's what gets us hooked, And example I like to give is, Breaking Bad is such a massive series. Would anybody watch it if nothing bad ever happened to Walter White? Nobody would watch it. So it's really given the audience a reason to kind of root for whoever the video is about, or if it's your technology, what is your technology up against? And start there rather than just talking about how great you are. And I think that's a way to help keep the audience hooked.
Interesting. So from a brand's perspective, you say you got the message you want to get across. Now it comes time to actually creating the video. What are the first couple steps? Assuming you've got, your story figured out, what you're going to say, what the message is going to be. What are the first few steps of getting started with video?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you kind of touched on it, but we have a series of questions we always ask, and it's first the goal, then the audience, what's the key message, where will it live? When you have those parameters and you start to form that story, in terms of actually moving to production, I mean, that's just going to be on a case-by-case basis, depending on the company. There's one of the challenges, I think, in video, and I'm sure a lot of brands and marketers face this when they try to take on video projects, is there's really no industry standard. There's everywhere from the kid in his bedroom who has a camera and maybe does amazing video work, and you can snatch him up to do work for you, maybe even full time, and get it done. And then there's the big production teams who charge a lot more, and there's a lot more that goes into it. And so it's really tough to say that there's any kind of 1, 2, 3 steps to getting video done when there's no industry standard. So it's really case by case. But again, I think, and I kind of sound like a broken record here, but I think just staying clear on what the objective is, who we're speaking to, and having a great story. I will say it is less important about, how the video is produced compared to, what the story is that's being told. And that's why, if you are looking to hire an agency or a company or even a video producer, it doesn't have to be the actual person who is producing the video, but just make sure you have somebody on that team. And if you are working with an agency, ideally they have this in their wheelhouse, who understands that story and that strategy side to help ensure that that is woven through the video and that doesn't get lost in the actual production process.
So do you do a lot on the creative side? Like if a company comes to you and be like, hey, we're targeting males age 25 to 34, we want to talk about this, we want to talk about this, but we have no idea where we're going to get started with the creative. We don't have any clue what we're doing here. What do we do? How do we build this story?
Yeah, that's our most common use case. We work with some, in-house agencies or even, marketing agencies around town. And in that case, a lot of times it's very collaborative. So we're still in 99% of our projects, we're very heavily involved in the actual creation of the creative and the story. And so most cases, it is a client or sometimes even an agency or in-house agency coming to us and saying, here's kind of our goal, here's what we're thinking, here's who we're trying to reach, but we're not entirely sure how to tell this. And then we'll kind of work on our side once we've gathered that intel to develop a concept or a few concepts and really try to develop those out and kind of pitch those and really make sure that the creative is on point before we ever touch a camera.
Okay. So what were some of your favorite campaigns that you've personally executed, like from a creative standpoint?
Ooh, interesting. Some of the favorites. I mean, again, I'm a sucker for great stories. So we actually just did a campaign for a company here in town called Luna DNA, and they have an amazing technology that's going to revolutionize healthcare. And that's a bold statement, but look them up and you'll see why. But we got to tell this amazing story of a 9-year-old girl who lives with cystic fibrosis, and just learning about her story and how just strong and confident she is, and she's actually through a series of drug trials actually had reversed a lot of the effects of what you experience living with this disease.
Wow.
So that was a really powerful one. And then we just did one too for a dash cam company. So that kind of shows the range here. But that was a little more of your kind of traditional commercial, and it was a little more on the humorous side, but it was just a blast to put together with all the set design. We had an amazing crew on that one, all collaborating together and putting together this like really cool piece. So it was a fun one.
So do you do a lot with animation at all, or is this mostly like live action?
It's mostly live action. We'll bring in animation. So actually that video I alluded to with Luna DNA, there was a little bit of animation there because their business model is somewhat difficult to kind of convey in a very clear and concise way. Bringing in that, particularly pertaining to video, right? So bringing in that animation element, we just had a little bit to just kind of help demonstrate, here's how it works. So we'll do it in that case, but most of our stuff is live action because our whole thing and our kind of focus when it comes to video is let's focus on humans. Like people don't want to just see fake. They don't want to see technology as much, let's show this in a human use case.
Interesting. So have you done much with, I feel like a lot of brands over the past couple of years have been really experimenting with VR in terms of brand videos. What are some of have you seen any developments in that, like in what you do particularly?
Not yet. I mean, I think, I'm definitely not Nostradamus, so I'm not usually looking too far for the future, but I still think in terms of branding, at least on the scale that we're playing in, I haven't seen a whole lot in VR. I think VR adds a whole nother element. One of the biggest things to consider with VR is that you're no longer the director of the video, your audience is, right? So in traditional video, you get to guide, and not just through what you're showing on frame, but how you design the frame, how you design the set, lighting. You get to guide the viewer's eye and really let them see, and that's part of what makes filmmaking such an amazing craft. And VR doesn't necessarily completely get rid of that, but it adds a whole nother element.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll pick this up in the next segment. You're listening to WS Radio, This Week in Marketing, brought on by the American Marketing Association San Diego chapter. And we'll be back in a couple minutes. Thank you.
Can you imagine a world without children? A world where children don't play, or dream, or imagine.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're working every day to find cures for diseases that strike down children. Because we can't imagine a world without children. Can you?
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. To learn how you can help, log on to our website, stjude.org.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McCullough brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcCullough.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. McCulloughe. ChristopherMcCullough.com.
Take a break from politics. Tune in and learn something. WS Radio shows are worth your time and are filled with tips and advice. Add us to your lunch routine, and we'll give you a meal for your mind.
Kenya Dixon was crowned the #1 sales executive through hard work, deep thinking, and the revelation of universal talk laws. He now wants to share these lessons with you. Universal talk laws are what you need to know and use in business and at home to have successful and effective conversations. Kenya Dixon shares his wisdom, action plans, and wealth. Each book comes with a chance to win $10,000. Find Universal Talk Laws at kenyadixon.com.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the coaches training program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Small businesses are the lifeblood of America's economy. Every Thursday, SBA Radio interviews industry professionals and is dedicated to provide small businesses with timely insights and innovations. Visit www.sbaradio.us for details.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
Welcome back, marketers. You're listening to another episode of This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the American Marketing Association San Diego chapter, and as always, powered by WS Radio. In the studio today, I've got CJ Thomas of Wonder Tree Media, and we're talking all about video and how to form a strategy in 2020 and beyond. Now, CJ, to dive right back into segment 3 here, getting back to the creative aspect, I feel like I have to talk about writing for a little bit because I am a writer and I've been doing a lot more script writing, or trying to at least. How would you say the writing process for video is different than other types of writing? Like, for example, in writing blog content, writing web content, guide, white paper, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing with video that is really powerful, and this is our motto when we're creating video, is show, don't tell. So I think this holds true even for writing. If you're just writing for copy or blog, is like being able to really paint that picture in the reader's mind, right? And I think with video, you can just take that another step further because you're literally showing them. So I think something that we like to do with script writing when we are doing very heavily scripted videos is, it allows you to kind of take the script in a different direction that's much more emotional. You don't have to be as literal. So an example, we just did this campaign, right, for the dash cam company, and it has this notification feature if your car gets impacted. So we shot this scene where like a dad's at a baseball game and his son hits a baseball and it flies and it hits his windshield and he gets a notification, right? If you're writing, you might have to say, when your kid hits the ball and it smashes into your windshield, you kind of have to be descriptive. But when you're writing script for a video, our voiceover literally says, for those times when your little slugger hits a perfect homer. And then you let the audience kind of play off on that by seeing the visuals. So it's really being able to create a relationship where the visuals that's being shown and the writing itself, the script, play into each other and kind of feed different parts of the brain rather than having them mirror each other and having the voiceover or the script just completely dictate what's happening. I think you can kind of get away with leaving that gap there and letting them kind of play into each other.
So in the creative process, do you normally work with the writers like side by side as you're coming up with the content, or do you have like the script do you have the script being written first and then add video? Or what's kind of the process? I'm sure it varies. It's kind of an ambiguous question.
Yeah, no, it does vary because I would say, historically, a lot of our content tends to be more on the docu side. So it's more kind of interview, much like you and I are sitting and talking right now. The only difference is we would have a camera rolling, right? And so in that case, we still write it. We still essentially script it as if it's going to be scripted. But then we just use that as a basis to kind of frame the conversation around. So in those cases, we're just working heavily with the brand to kind of figure out, again, what is that key message? And then we'll kind of script it. And then we just go into a natural conversation and it starts to come together in the edit. When it is more heavily scripted, we also have expert copywriters that we'll pull in and have them write some of the stuff we write in-house. And on some occasions, it's written by the actual agency or client that we're working with. But most cases, we're kind of writing it in-house.
Awesome. And is Raina still writing for you these days?
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. So she's kind of still. She actually just sent over a script this morning.
Oh,
so
awesome.
she's awesome. Raina's an amazing writer, and she's kind of doing the freelance game, and she's also now working with GoFundMe. So
Oh, awesome.
kind of taking a lot of the video stuff that she's kind of been working with me on and building up the video side over at GoFundMe. So
Very cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick her brain at some point. I've been trying to do more video script writing through my company, and yeah, definitely need some pointers from a seasoned professional like her.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah. So CJ, I want to switch gears a little bit into the marketing side of video. So say at this point the brand video is done. It's ready to go. It's ready to promote. When you begin this process, what are some of the initial steps in promoting a video?
I love this question. No, for real, because I think that a lot of times, when we get into video, we put so much emphasis on the actual video without thinking about how are we going to get eyeballs to it, right? It's not if you make it, they will come, right? We have to get people to look at it. And, we were talking about viral and how, for me, aiming for viral is the equivalent of buying a lottery ticket and calling it an investment strategy.
Right.
You have to really plan it out. And so I think the steps actually begin before the video is made. And again, I told you I'd be a broken record on this, but understanding the goal and the audience and the platform before we start making the video helps us know that when the video is done, okay, we already have a strategy. We know this is going to roll out on YouTube pre-roll ads or things like that. So I would say the steps in getting it out there is really going back to the goal. So if this is a direct conversion video, this is something we want to drive immediate sales, we might know, okay, then maybe it'll be good to set this up as remarketing ads. So we're going to take people who went to the product page, didn't buy. Let's run YouTube pre-rolls to that audience or Facebook remarketing ads to that audience. So it can get as granular as that. If it's more of a brand awareness, again, then we already know there, okay, well, what channels are we going to use to try to get this out? And we have the understanding that it might not drive those immediate sales right away, but the goal is to get views. So in that case, we'll, plan out those channels and think about ways that maybe, are not as grand as running a big campaign, but help. So one of our clients, we just did a full brand video for, we basically told them like, hey, because they're very direct, emails to their clients, not as much just, digital marketing. And so we said, well, hey, make sure you link to this in your email signature and different things that can help drive traffic to that versus just dropping a link on the website.
So in terms of channels, I feel like I have to ask this. I was asked a while ago to write an article on how brands can potentially use TikTok as a video platform, and I got to be honest, I was totally stumped. I had no idea. It was, and with me kind of shaking my fist at these young people and their new platforms. Do you think TikTok is a viable channel to promote video as a brand?
I mean, yes and no. I think it depends on the brand, right? And your audience. If your audience is on TikTok, then yeah. If you're a B2B technology, I don't know if I would spend a whole ton of time on TikTok. So I think, just with social marketing in general, there's this narrative that you have to be on all channels at all times. And I mean, everyone's going to have a different viewpoint on there. Mine is, go where your audience is. So I think, again, if your audience is on TikTok, give it a shot.
Yeah. Well, I think a big challenge to, these newer channels is, because I mean, if you look back, a lot of the main channel, like the social channels, they started off as, friends and personal, getting to know each other. Brands kind of infiltrated, Facebook, Instagram, all that. And I think there's just kind of a barrier to, getting into these newer video platforms and getting your messaging out there without being overly intrusive.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, again, going back to the beginning, I think that's why it's important for brands to speak like humans and tell stories rather than just be so boastful,
Right.
I think, scroll through your LinkedIn feed and there's no shortage of, hey, we're the premier leader in this technology. And then, you scroll right past those, but then there's someone who's maybe telling a real story of something that happened in their company that you can relate with. And you're like, okay, I'm going to remember this person. And maybe if you don't consciously make that connection, there's a subconscious level there where you're like, okay, this person's relatable. So I think if brands can focus on being more human and more relatable and less, sounding like brand coming from upon high, I think that helps.
So that kind of segues into another question I have. We've seen a big emphasis over the past couple of years on personal branding, and I feel like that's definitely the case in a lot of video. And that just goes back to, coming away from that brand standpoint and being like, yes, we're a brand, but we're also people just like you and me. Have you seen kind of a spike in personal branding in the video world in your career?
Yeah, I mean, we've worked in the past with, I guess, quote unquote influencers. And I think video obviously plays such a critical role in that, because if you're gonna develop your personal brand, it's your person. And so if you are someone who is comfortable on video and that's somewhere where you feel like you can shine, then I think take advantage of it, and don't let the quality or the equipment be the barrier to entry. Look at so much scroll through your LinkedIn or YouTube or whatever, and you'll see, it's more about what's being said. So I definitely do think it's a huge tool for personal branding, just as it is for any corporate or business entity. So I think a lot of the same rules apply. It's just maybe more personal. So video does add that element, and I think a lot of times people tend to gravitate in that space towards a little bit more of a raw feel, a little more of a behind the scenes, show me what your day-to-day is like. Don't give me this polished, on a shelf version, because it's hard to relate with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like a lot of big brands have used video in a lot of ways to really promote the personal branding, like the CEOs have. Like, you look at Neil Patel and like all the companies he's created. Like, you think of Neil Patel when you hear those characters or all those companies, just because he does a lot in the way of, video personal branding. And I think that's just been a huge help for him and all the endeavors he's been into.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we got about 30 seconds left in this segment. We'll probably have to pick up with this in segment 4. But in your experience, how long does it typically take to start seeing ROI with video?
Yeah, I think this is where I always love to set expectations with clients, because I'm not going to be the company that's shouting on my page like, we're going to give you 10x ROI, right? I think if it is a direct conversion, video, like a direct marketing, I think in that case, you can expect it maybe a little faster, but track it. If it's brand, just think long game. It's all about the long game.
Got it. All right, well, that is it for segment 3. We'll be back in a couple minutes with the final segment. You're listening to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the AMA chapter of the American Marketing Association San Diego chapter, and powered by WS Radio.
Can you help a newborn baby in need? Sometimes the blessing of birth becomes complicated and perilous. Miracle Babies is there to help. Miracle Babies helps moms and dads give their all to their struggling little baby, but still need more. When you give to Miracle Babies, you help them give more. More skin-to-skin care, breast milk, and love. Go to miraclebabies.org and give right now. Be their miracle.
On the internet, your business's reputation can be unjustly destroyed in an instant. Don't wait for that to happen. Building and marketing your 5-star reputation can increase your business by as much as 19%. Take control of your reputation and have the 5-star reputation you deserve with Reputation Marketing Solutions by DSI Development. Become the go-to company by visiting 5starrepmarketing.com. The number 5starrepmarketing.com.
Nowadays, internet devices are an integral part of your home. Everyone in your family has a smartphone, tablet, or a computer. Life is easier knowing that all your devices are secured and your family can surf the internet carefree. ESET Multi-Device Security Pack does just that. One license for all your devices. With ESET, it's simple to stay protected and save money. Enjoy safer technology with ESET Multi-Device Security Pack at eset.com. That's ESET.com.
You may have heard me brag about Progressive Medical Center and just how much they've helped me with my health. And Dr. Goli, one thing that you have helped so many people with is migraines.
Unfortunately, there are millions and millions of Americans who are suffering with migraines and headaches, and they're debilitating because it affects the quality of their life, and they cannot function properly. At Progressive, we get to the root cause because we understand that migraines could be caused by nutritional deficiencies, hormonal imbalances, believe it or not, delayed food sensitivities. And once we determine what the real reason is, we put a plan of action together with medication that we get them off slowly, and we put them on an all-natural approach, and the results are amazing.
Incredible. I mean, there's so many people that can say they don't live their lives with migraines anymore thanks to Progressive Medical Center.
And that's what's exciting and rewarding to us as physicians, because we help our patients take control of their health, and that's why they're living well.
Why don't you get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today? Don't live in pain. Don't have migraines anymore. Just go to their website, progressivemedicalcenter.com.
This is your life. Live it well.
This is Bill Gruber with BizVid Communications, a Southern California video production leader. We've been honored to sponsor, produce, write, and host many of the fine programs on WS Radio over the years. So we understand how important the internet and your website exposure are. As video producers, we know the tricks and secrets to incorporate video to increase your search engine optimization and business success. Visit bizvidcommunications.com to see what we can do for you. BIZVID communications.com.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
Welcome back, San Diego marketers. You're listening to another episode of This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the American Marketing Association San Diego chapter, and as always, powered by WS Radio. In the studio today, I've got CJ Thomas of Wonder Tree Media, and we're talking all about video. And CJ, we wrapped up the last section talking about ROI and setting client expectations with video. And I just want to pick that right back up here because I think we got cut off at about 30 seconds. And yeah, so when it comes to setting expectations, I think there's a golden rule in marketing. You can never make bold guarantees. So how do you go about, once you start the promotion project or process, how do you go about, really setting these parameters for clients?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the big things is, when we have that initial discussion and we say, the first question we lead with is like, what do you want this video to do? Mm-hmm. And I think starting right there, engaging that answer, if it's like, okay, well, we want it to go viral, then maybe I have to say, okay, well, let's look at that and let's look at the possibilities of that being true. So I think kind of honing in on that key answer helps us ensure that expectations are set from the beginning. So, again, if it's a brand awareness campaign, I'm not going to promise a client that this video is going to directly result in X amount of sales over the next 6 months. I'm going to make sure I'm reminding them even through the process, like, okay, this is a long game. Like, we're doing this for brand affinity, for, if it's a brand video, when you think about brand videos, like talking about the origin story of the brand, maybe the why of the brand, generally, I wouldn't tell a client that those are videos that are going to drive immediate sales. But it doesn't mean they're not powerful. They're extremely powerful, but they're long-term tools that you can use in your sales and marketing process to build that affinity. So it's really about just, trying to make sure that we're all on the same page before we even start the process with what is the realistic goal that we're hoping to hit, and how are we going to measure to make sure that that goal is hit.
Yeah. And I feel like I know we do a lot of like organic SEO at my company, and a lot of people are like, okay, well, we paid you for a month. Where are our results? We've been at this for 30 days now. And it's just like, it doesn't work like that.
Exactly.
Like, you got to be realistic. You got to say, I guess with SEO, I'm not sure how long it normally takes in video, but with SEO, it normally takes at bare minimum 6 months to start seeing solid results. And
I think, again, like going back to it, video is just the medium. It's not necessarily the strategy in itself. So, so I would say the amount of time that it takes to generate results is less dependent on the fact that it's video and more on what the strategy is, where you're promoting it, what's being said, like what are we doing here. So, so I think that's kind of where video falls. Is it's just the tool. It doesn't necessarily dictate what the results will be.
Yeah. So Other than, mass adoption over the past few years, have you seen the process of video production evolve in the past 5 years since you've been in it?
I mean, all I can really speak to is my perspective in working with clients, and I think um, more and more the way things have evolved for me personally actually is we've just always when you start out in the video world, it's kind of, and this may be even true for marketers who have done video for their for their companies. It's like, okay, let's shoot a video. Well, let's grab our camera, let's grab our phone, let's shoot a video, and then we'll see what comes together in the edit. And then you learn, okay, maybe next time let's spend a little bit more time planning the video before we shoot. And then you do that, and then you learn, okay, well, that made it a little better next time. So on an industry level, I can't really speak too much to the massive changes that I've seen, because I haven't seen a ton of big industry-wide sweeping changes other than people pouring in to the industry, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. But for our process, we've really learned over the years that shift most of your energy and attention to the time before you even touch a camera.
Right.
And that ensures that the video is going to be, far better than you expected.
So where do you see video going in maybe 1 year from now, 2 years, or even 10 years down the road?
Yeah, man, it's really tricky to say, because I see kind of two different directions. And again, as I said before, I'm definitely not Nostradamus. So I where I try to put my focus is, what do our clients need now? What do we do now? And what's relevant? But what I'm noticing is, I'm noticing two different trends, and this is where we kind of help our clients is, on one side, I think there is still a push for that high level, higher budget, quality video that's still needed. That's not entirely gone. But there's also this other arena, this uprising of, let's just buy a couple DSLR cameras and set up our own video studio. And so I'm seeing a lot more in-house video, where, we're even working with some of our clients who we do higher budget campaigns for. But for stuff like, say, a video podcast or, a regular video, blog where they're just turning their blog posts into videos, I would say, if you can, bring someone on, part-time or even full-time to be a video producer. And so we're working with clients to even help them set up those systems and train, because we like to focus more on just like the campaign work, telling those stories. But when it comes to regular content, I think, we're moving in a direction, and we'll see this more and more over the next, several years, where brands just have that ability to, bring that in-house for just regular ongoing video content.
Right. So just curious, do you see a lot of brands come to you like, they realize how important producing video is, and, they just kind of have the mindset, oh, iPhones are getting really powerful, I can just do this all myself, and then it just kind of fails miserably. Do you get a lot of clients that come to you being like, we tried to do this on our own, we can't do it, we need help?
These days, not too often. Generally, when clients come to us, it's, they haven't even, they don't even have the bandwidth to try it. It's usually they have like a marketing department, and they're like, okay, we need a video. We're already pulling our hair out. So, Wonder Tree does great work. Let's work with them, or whatever the case may be. But I mean, I have seen it where, sometimes brands have attempted it on their own, or maybe even gone with somebody who's not quite as experienced, and we've just kind of had to come in and either clean it up, or just completely reshoot something. So I would say, I definitely, again, like, I don't want to sit here and try to push my own motive that, hey, always invest in high dollar video. I think there are some opportunities to get people who are maybe fresh out of school or younger, but if you are, compromising a lot on a lot of things, and that includes budget, expect that sometimes you may have to give it another shot, and so it could cost you more in the long run. Gotcha.
So CJ, we have about a minute and a half left. I want to wrap up with a 3-part question. As we like to do, we like to get some parting advice from experts in the field. So if you could give words of wisdom to newbie video producers, writers, or brands looking to get started, what would they be?
Yeah, so I would say for video producers, the biggest thing, and this is, this is how I did it, is just surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do. You know, I'm very fortunate. I did not get into this industry the traditional way. You know, I didn't intern at another production company or anything. You know, I was doing photography. I started doing video on my own and wanted to get into this industry. And so I was lucky to have an amazing group of friends who did, you know, great work, who helped me get into the industry. So just surround yourself with people who are doing exactly what you want to do. And then for, I think, brands and marketers, I would say, you know, just be willing to reach out, ask questions, research. And the biggest thing is, again, like, study what you love. I think there's so many different types of videos, different strategies, different campaigns, and the internet has no shortage of information.
Right.
So you can research as much as you can research for the rest of your life and not scratch the surface of what's out there. So I would say, you know, rather than driving yourself crazy with research, I would say, you know, figure out what it is that you love and why do you love that, and maybe how can you apply that to what your audience might love. So start with what your own interest is.
Awesome. All right, and then the last one for for writers and then marketers. Actually, you know what? That is going to do it for our show. We might have to do a part 2 of the show.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. So you're listening to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the American Marketing Association San Diego chapter and powered by WS Radio. We'll see you next time.
Can you imagine a world without children? A world where children don't play, or dream, or imagine?
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're working every day to find cures for diseases that strike down children, because we can't imagine a world without children. Can you?
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. To learn how you can help, log on to our website, stjude.org.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McCullough brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcCullough.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. McCulloughe. ChristopherMcCullough.com.
Looking to be a successful entrepreneur? The virtual assistant industry continues to be a top choice for those looking to start their own business. The problem can be how to become a virtual assistant. Many turn to the Bible of the VA industry, the book Virtual Assistant, the series, and it's the perfect guide for office managers, executive assistants, and other administrative professionals looking to make the transition from employee to successful business owner. Go to vatheseries.com to get your copy today.
Hi, Scale listener. This is David Finkel, co-host with Jeff Hoffman of Scale Your Business. I wanted to let you know that our newest book, Scale, was just released, and to encourage you to get your copy. The book will give you 7 proven principles to grow your business and get your life back. Scale will help you work less by getting your business to produce more. Get your copy online or at your local bookseller. For more information, visit us online at scaleyourbusinesstoolkit.com.